Hi, thank you for coming back to Ace for Addict. Those of you that's here for the first time, it's just a story of my life through addiction and through into recovery. I want to firstly say thank you to my wife, Zalika, for all the support and for standing by me through this whole process. As you can see, she's made me this t-shirt and another one I've got inside. Thank you so much for the support, babe. I love you. Then I ended book 19. Talking about being in rehab and then coming out, and a little bit about jail experiences. So I'd like to continue there. There was a period in Rosettenville, I'm not sure where it fell, but there was a time when I got arrested and I was sent to, they call it Sun City Prison. It's actually Deep Cliff Correctional Facility. I went to that prison. I was found guilty for shoplifting. So I was awaiting trial, and then I actually did get sentenced. I got sentenced 6 months, 6 months or a fine. I don't remember how much the fine was, but obviously I didn't have anybody at that time, and I didn't have the money to pay the fine, so I would have had to do the 6 months. This was the time that I had arranged that cell phone that I carried in with me. And so for the first month or 2 months, I had that cell phone on me. I used to hide it and keep it and make my calls. Try and make calls. You know, I used to phone exes, and I used to phone old friends and things, people that didn't really know my story, that would still give me the time of day and speak to me. And now and then I would try to phone family. It's not my mother. Look, my mother had stopped answering the phone. My mother wouldn't answer the phone anymore if it was me. She always knew what the problem was. Same with a lot of the family didn't want to speak to me. I do think at times I was still speaking to my brother, but he wasn't willing to help at that time. So yeah, I was in Sun City Prison a couple of months, and then I got drafted. Now, if you're unaware, a draft in a prison it can happen at any time to anybody. They just come to the cells in the morning, they shout out a couple of names, and that means you getting on the bus and you going to another prison. They keep this going continually. There's always people in and out of prisons. You always move into a different prison. It doesn't matter where your family is or anything like that. You get moved, you know. So yeah, I got called for the draft, and as I was walking out, I packed my things, and as I was walking out, one of the correctional officers ran after me, and they asked to see my bags, and they went through my bags, and in a sock that I had rolled up, I put the cell phone. There's no way that he should have been doing that or should have done that. That doesn't happen ordinarily inside the cells and inside the prison. But yes, he searched me, so I know that somebody had told him that I've got a phone. I'm not sure, I would never know who it was, but they had told him, and because of that, I was just sent straight back to the cells. I wasn't drafted, I wasn't going anywhere, so which was a little bit upsetting, because the draft that I was under is because I was doing only 6 months. You get drafted to police stations, to go and work. So you don't just sit in the normal general population prison. You actually go to the police stations and go and work. So they sent me back. Then about a month later, I got drafted again, and I went up, myself and one other guy, Isaac. We got drafted, and they don't tell you where you're going. And only once we got there, which was about an hour and a half trip, which quite surprised me, it ended up being at Magaliesburg police station. So we were settled there into the holding cells to do our duration of our time to stay there. And while I was there, I made good friends. The police officer that lived next door, he used to take me there on a weekend to go and cut his grass and do whatever. But it was all with a good heart, because it got me out of the cell. I didn't have to be sitting inside the cell for the whole weekend. So on weekends he would do that for me. A young lady that worked in the offices there, she would buy lunch. She'd sometimes buy me KFC or something. So they looked after me there, and I think there was a lot of envy and a lot of jealousy on the other police officer's side, because the guy that I was with, Isaac, he was a black guy, and he didn't get that type of treatment. So it was a little bit biased that I was getting treated like that. But then again, the other police officers could have treated him like that, which they didn't. So because of that, my draft got pulled again and I got sent back. I wasn't sure why I was getting sent back. They just said, pack your things, you're going to be leaving. And I actually thought I'm going to be released. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I was going back to Sun City. I was going to go back and do more time there. So yeah, I went back to Sun City. Not long after that, about a week, I was there and I got drafted again. And this time they sent me to Jabulani Police Station, which is in Soweto, so it wasn't far, still in the area. And I worked there. While I was there, I cooked for the guys in the cells. There was about 6 of us this time. I cooked for the guys at night, and we used to sell cigarettes to the guys that get arrested for drunken driving and are there overnight, you know, either that or let them use a phone. You know, so that's how we used to make a little bit of money, to buy our own cigarettes. And then one day I got called into the office there by one of the police officers, and he said, you need to pack your things, you're going back to Sun City. So I thought, no, again this is happening, you know, what happened now? And he said to me, no, your fine's been paid, you're leaving. And I was like, no, it's impossible, there's nobody to pay my fine, he's lying, I'm going back to the prison. And I was so scared. You know, prison is not a nice place. And then so I went back, but when I went back I didn't have to go in. I went to the reception and they booked me out. And my brother had paid the fine for me. He paid the fine for me. He let me come out, and on top of that, he moved me into his house, which his son was now, my nephew was living there. My brother had another house, and my nephew was living there, and I went to live with him. Obviously, I was warned about anything I do wrong, you know, it won't last. And also, I made all the promises in the world, you know, that I'd behave myself. So I started living there, and it didn't last very long, and I started messing up. I started with drinking, and at that time I couldn't control my drinking, so drinking would just lead to something else. And before long I was stealing from his house. I was taking things to go sell, and I was using in the day. He was out a lot, he wasn't always at home, so I had the time and opportunity to do it, and I was doing it. This is family, you know, that I was stealing from, and I'm so sorry that I did, Tyron, Gav. I'm so sorry for disappointing you like that when you do eventually see this. It really, really breaks my heart that I've done that to you, especially after you've always been so good to me and treated me so well. So yeah, I stole from them to support my habit once again. And there was talk that I had also stolen. It was always small things laying around the house, DVDs or PlayStation games, or you know, small things that I could get 50 or 100 rand for. But then there was talk that I had stolen Tyron's late wife's wedding ring, which up to today, I got to say, look, I'm coming clean about everything, so please believe me when I say, up to today, I don't remember taking that ring. I really don't remember taking it. I don't remember selling it. I don't remember any of that. You know, forgive me if I did, but I really don't remember it. You know, but again, addict, my mind is so gone. I don't remember things clearly. But I think that was the last straw, when things like that happened, and I got caught stealing, or they knew that things were disappearing. I was asked to leave. You know, let me just say this before I go off that story. While I was in prison, before I went to Gavin's house to go live, I had met this girl on the phone. She used to phone some other guy that abused her, or he used to phone her, and I started talking to her this way through him, and we became good friends. And while I was staying at Gavin's house, I actually gave her a call, and she actually came through and came to visit and stayed a couple of days there. You know who you are, so thank you for that as well. Thank you for that support. You did try. Look, I never stayed in touch with you because, well, you know, because of the drugs and the way I was, so I apologize to you also. But yeah, thanks for you supporting me. So anyway, after all of this now, I ended up back on the street, back in Rosettenville, back at my old haunt, living with the Nigerian. And now I had really burnt all my bridges. Nobody wanted to know anything, so I was there now for a while. During this time there was also other cases where I had been locked up and come out, and locked up and come out, and always 2 months, 3 months, 3 months, 6 months, 2 months. It was always a couple of months, then out again, back back to Rosettenville. I mean, I don't even know, and my family don't know how many times this had happened. You know, it had happened so many times. It was really bad. I went through so many peaks and valleys during all this time in Rosettenville. You know, there were times when I really thought I'm going to make it. This time I can do it. You know, and I was sincere and I was honest to everybody that I was talking to. That no, I can make it. I can do it. You know, and then something would happen and I would just fail. I would just fail at it. And then for months I'd be on that road of destruction and everything destroyed. Then I'd get arrested and I'd get clean for a couple of months. And I'd come out and I'd be positive, and this time I'm going to do it. I apologize, I'm sorry. And then I would fail again. I would fail miserably, you know, because I wouldn't only fail myself in my cause to recover. I would also fail those people that were standing by me at that time and trying to help me recover. Now I would fail them badly, and this is how I started losing people one at a time. I started losing people that just had enough. They just couldn't believe a word that came out of my mouth anymore. No, and I fully understand that. It kills me to know that I've done that to so many people. You know, but yeah, my life in Rosettenville was hell, Hell's Kitchen. It was hell. Everything about it was wicked. We were arrested so many times. We became on such well-known terms with the police, which is a disgrace. I mean, you're not supposed to be on first-name basis with police if you're an addict, you know. But because we've been arrested and caught so many times, and they knew us as addicts. Now I can tell you, once where the place where I was living was raided, and when they raided that place, they came in and I was still lying in bed. You know, everyone was lying on their beds, everyone was using, and these cops raided. We heard them come in, and they raided, and they took us all outside. And you know, the one cop was pretty new and wanted to arrest us all, and the one Indian policeman, he just said, no, leave these guys. They live here. These are the addicts in Rosettenville that live here. You know, and I mean, he was saying there's nothing we can do for them. We've tried this and that. So they even knew until we make major changes in our lives, there's nothing that they could do for us. I mean, I was proof that even being locked up wasn't help. Even 6 months long-term treatment in rehab wasn't help. And yet, the thing is, a lot of people go to rehab and they'll tell you about the times that they used, or they ran that night and they went to go fetch this drug, or somebody had this. You know, let me tell you, every single time that I was in rehab, I can tell you more than 20 rehabs that I've been into, you know, or more than 20 times that I've been into rehab. Not once did I use anything illegal. I've always taken my recovery in every single rehab that I went to. I took my recovery serious and planned to change. And this is why one of the counselors once told me, I'm not addicted to drugs, I'm addicted to rehab. You know, I take my drugs so that I can go to rehab. That was his opinion of what was happening in my life. And it made sense, because I was in rehab so often and you took my recovery so serious that I myself believed that I would make it every time. I was, for years and years, I was unaware of the power that the addiction holds over me. You know, I know in the 12 steps and in a lot of the programs they say we are powerless over our addiction. I don't think that I actually realized the magnitude of those words, that you are absolutely you are so useless against your addiction. You are absolutely powerless. If addiction has got hold of you so deep, you're not going to be able to just break free of it. And that is why when we get closer to the end of my story, it's going to be difficult for me to explain how I eventually came clean, because you know, I know I began this journey with you saying I don't want to get religious and I don't want to get into all of that. I don't want to lose people watching, but if you've watched this far, I'm sure you'll continue. So it's time now in this book 20 to say, I do know what happened. I know where my help came from, and it came from above. My help came from God, because I had tried hundreds of times to come clean. I had tried to stay clean, and I could never do it. And I could never do it because I always tried to do it alone. And only after I had given up and I'd really started to believe that that was my life, that I'm an addict, I will stay an addict, I might as well be an active addict. Only then did something miraculous happen to me and things changed. So we're going to get into that shortly, probably in book, well, shortly. There's a couple other things we'll talk about. We'll have just a nice chat about drugs and life and all of that. And I hope that you continue watching. You know, this is really helping me a lot. It's alleviating a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, and a lot of disgust that I've carried around so long for myself. So I really appreciate it. Again, please, I'm not a professional videographer, so that's why some of these videos come out a little bit awkward. But don't let that put you off. Please keep sharing. Please subscribe. Please come back. Watch till the end. Watch till it's done. You know, I'd love to introduce you to my family. So once again, thanks for coming to Ace for Addict. I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.